Welcome to the Any Given Chance podcast. Stories about passion and sacrifice. What actually goes on behind the scenes in the consistent chase of everything. We're going to bring you some untold stories. Some of people you know, some of people you don't. These stories that we bring on with our guests are nothing short of inspiring and will get you out there chasing your own goals as well. Join me, your host, 3am 365, Matty Menyon, as we dive into these incredible stories. And of course, as the podcast grows, so do we together. So stick with us from the start, hit that like and share, subscribe button, get your family and friends involved, and we'll see where we are in 100 podcasts. No days off, no excuses. The Wolf of Bundle. Congratulations, mate. Travis Wolfgram.
Thanks.
How you going?
Yeah, good.
For Any Given Chance podcast about success and passion and the sacrifice that goes in behind the scenes. Trav, you have just cleaned up the Gold Coast Jockey Premiership for this year, 12-month thing. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. It's good. It's a bit of weight lifted off the shoulders now. It's been a long, hard-fought 12 months, but consistency's paid off. Yeah,
it has. And another thing, you've put one thing on the back burner, and that's just a little snozzer thing going on here. Mid-year, what happened? You got kicked in the face or something, did you?
Oh, no, I just got hit in the head.
Okay.
It's part and parcel with the job, I suppose. The horse threw its head and I didn't get out of the way. It was a bit unfortunate, but these things happen. And just at the time, I was sort of fighting out a premiership there and getting good rides. It had a lot of momentum, so I didn't want to halt it. So I just put the nose on the back burners. As you say, we wrapped the season up last week, so I thought, I'll go and get it done now. I'll only miss sort of the next 2 weeks and then be straight back into it.
Yeah. How'd the operation go?
Yeah.
What did they do? They had to straighten it, and what happened?
Yeah, so obviously because I've left it a little while now, it had developed a spur. So that was blocking the whole left side of my nostril, so I couldn't breathe out of it. They had to go up through the nostril, grind the spur back. Then they had to cut the cartilage in the middle of the nose there and put it back to the centre. And at the minute there's like 2 splints in there on either side just to hold the nose straight. So I go back in next Wednesday and they'll take that out and hopefully it's all lined up properly.
Wow. Did it hurt?
It hurts.
Good old Menyon dragged you in here for a podcast while you're fresh out of a nose operation. Good bloke.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, your journey, you've come back to the Gold Coast. Now, you're a Queenslander through and through, born in Toowoomba, is it?
Yep.
How good. But you got poached. You went down south, riding down there for a bit, didn't you?
Yeah. So I spent about nearly 6 years down there riding in New South Wales, sort of based out of Sydney. So it was a good experience. I was just fortunate. At the time I'd just come off, I won the Gold Coast Premiership as an apprentice, which was like the first time it had been done in about 20 years or so that an apprentice had won that. So it was trying to make my mark in town, and I was riding a horse for Liam Birchley. I think one of your good mates, Chrissy Walker, might have been a part owner of the horse, Rock Royalty. And I'll never forget it. It was like a 1,000-metre race at Doomba there, tricky start, drew the outside barrier. Within about 100 metres, I was 3 back, 1 off. Ended up winning the race, and the next day, Gay Waterhouse's people ring me up and said, we've been watching your ride. We saw that one yesterday, and we'd be very interested in you coming down to ride for us through the winter.
Wow. So opportunity presents itself. Happy days. But we'll go back to the start, mate. We were speaking about this in take 1 before bloody cameras and that fucked out. But you come from a horse family. Mum was trainer, was it? Or
Yeah. So Mum and Dad were both jockeys.
Yep.
And then, Mum eventually handed in the jockey's licence for the trainer's licence when I was a young fella, yeah.
Yeah. So you were born and bred straight into it, so you knew what was going on. But it wasn't for you.
No, not at all. I didn't really like the horses much. I, sort of resented them in a way. Just racing's a 24/7, 365 job. And as a teenager there, I was quite interested in a few different sports, especially BMX was one that comes to mind, and I was quite good at it. And obviously the races were on weekends, the same days that Mum and Dad, it's their busiest day of the week is a Saturday. So, for me as a kid growing up, I just felt like racing took a lot away from me and my brothers and that growing up. But as I've got a bit older, I sort of can see how racing gave us everything we had.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that. But as a, naive 14-year-old, you're not thinking about that. You're just
when you want to go race BMXs, isn't that right? Or you got something on the weekend, and mum and dad are always, not there, but working. Yeah, very different. And I think I was saying that it's completely different to my upbringing. Being a surfer and being on the beach, it was just mum and dad and 48 hours of sun, sand and surf for me. So you weren't into the horses. How did you get into it?
Yeah, so when I hated school. I was no good at it. Just there was no point me being there. So I wanted to get out, and I finished grade 10 when I was 15, and the opportunity presented itself, boiler making. And I honestly didn't care. It just sounded better than school. So I grabbed that opportunity with both hands, and I did that for about 3 years, and it just wasn't quite for me. I enjoyed it at the start, but it's just repetition. It's the same thing every day. We were doing big warehouses like Bunnings and those big industrial places, and every day it was just the same thing. And I need change. I don't handle doing the same thing day in, day out. I like to mix it up.
You and me wouldn't get along too well. Trav, you coming running again? No, mate, I'm not.
Once a week's enough for me, and then I'll cycle the next day and swim the next day. I like to mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
But and then I wanted to get out of the boiler making, and I didn't really know what to do. And I'm a bit of a lazy person, and I find if you always ask the lazy people how to do something, because I find the quickest way to do it. And Mum sent me up in the paddock right in Toowoomba. We had about 140 acres up there. And she asked me to go get a horse, and I had a bit of a tantrum, had the head down, dragging the head collar, kicking straws, like what sent me up here to do this for. And I got up there and had the head collar and the lead rope, and I remember seeing Mum and Dad that do it, where they just throw the lead rope over the horse's neck, and I didn't know how, but tie it to the head collar there, and you could jump on the horse and you could ride it. I thought I'd seen them do it. I thought surely I could do it, so pulled the horse over to a fence there, tied it up, and jumped on its back, and next minute, we gone straight through the paddock. Felt like I was going 100 mile an hour. I think I was only going just a nice canter. But for me, it was just like, holy shit. I was scared. I thought I was going so fast. I thought I was going to die. And remember Mum was in the kitchen, and she looked out, and she said, her first instinct was like nerves and fear. She thought I was going to run through the fence.
Yeah.
But then after watching me go, she said that I sat on good, and I didn't fall off. So that's always a good sign when you get on the horse. And she come out to me and sort of said, while you're trying to work out what you want to do for work, why don't you come and ride some track work and earn some money? And so I said, okay, no worries. And I think it was that afternoon, Dad threw the a race pad or the track work pad on a horse and threw me in the round yard, and had me cantering around and trying to style up and get in the jockey mode. And I'll never forget it. Mum's apprentice at the time, she walked out the end of the barn, and we just heard this big spastic. And so that sort of put a bit of fuel in my belly then. But it, got me fired up, and I was quite determined to prove her wrong. And about 3 months later into my career, I think I'd outdone her, and she'd been riding for about 5 years.
Name drop.
No.
Name drop. Nearly got it out of you. Oh, mate. So, just felt like you had that competitiveness in you. So, I guess that was it. But we're also speaking about it. It was just another job for you, wasn't it? Or it wasn't something that you enjoyed straight away?
No, not at all. As you said, I just saw it as a job. For me, it was a stepping stone. The dream was always to be a speedway driver. Love the race cars.
Have you done much with that?
No, I've never done anything with it.
You just want to be one?
Yeah, I just want to do it. As you said, I'm a super competitive person. Whatever I do, I've got to win. I can't take a chick to time zone and I won't let her win. I'm going to beat her at basketball or bowling, or there's no, no mercy with me. It's, I want to win. And I've always been one that I've done a lot of different sports in my life, and I sort of get to a point where I could take that next step, and then I'm content with where I've got with it. And for me, race, I love the go-karts of that, and it's just the speedway is just something I've never done. And so I really want to do it. I just, it's a new challenge, something I've never done. So that's sort of.
So do you watch? How did you fall in love with it? Do you watch much of it? Was there much of it out Toowoomba? Like, what kind of speedway are we talking? Are we talking dirt? We talking?
Yeah, dirt, yeah.
Like the drifting around, you'd bang bang, and you that sideways half the time.
Yeah. Love the oval track. Well, I can say now Dad's retired, but I remember Dad had a bad fall and he had broken arms and femurs, and he was all busted up. And as a kid, obviously, he couldn't ride. And he'd cut the cast off his arm, and he used to race the speedway. So on a Saturday when Dad was injured, we'd be down at Archerfield because we lived in Brisbane at the time. And yeah, Dad would be there racing around the speedway track with a broken arm. He just cut the cast off, and I don't know, I fell in love with it. And ever since then, as a kid, when we went back to Toowoomba, we used to go whenever Dad was suspended or if he finished races early enough, we'd zip out to the speedway there. And in Sydney, I used to go as much as I could to Valvoline Raceway at Parramatta. And now I'm back up here. I get to Archerfield as often as I can on a Saturday. As soon as races are done here, I'm straight in the car and I get up there.
I've never been to one.
Yeah.
No, I've got to go. You got me interested now. So that was the dream as a kid. No horses, yes cars. How the hell did you end up keep going with the horses then? So was it just day in, day out, this is better than Boilermaker, that was repetition, I'm going to keep doing this? Or did mum and dad keep you in there? So who did you do your apprenticeship with?
So I started the apprenticeship with mum.
Yep.
At the start. And I sort of moved around a little bit. As I said, I get bored in one place, but I wanted experience as well. So I started off with mum and dad, and then I did a 6-week stint in Tamworth with Sue Grills before coming back here to mum. And then I went to Maddie Dunn for not quite 12 months. And then from there, went down to Gay. Then I did a little bit of time with Ronnie Quinton, and I ended up finishing with Gerald Ryan.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, I moved around. Some apprentices have one boss, some have 10. I had about 5. But to me, it was it can be frowned upon by some people in racing, moving bosses like that. But for me, it's a different experience.
Someone's not going to know the exact way.
Yeah.
I understand that sort of thing. Like, you see it now in rugby league, and I'm not going to peg out Ash Taylor, but like Ash got $1 million contract coming out of Wayne Bennett, and this is where it's detrimental. And then he had 6 other coaches all get in with their new ideas. Boom, they get fired. Now they're like, Ash, all right, you got to play this way. New ideas, blah, blah, blah. And he got 0 coaching over that 5-year period, and everyone was hammering him like, you're getting paid $1 million. You have to be playing better. You have to be like, but mate, the kid came out of an unbelievable system with Wayne Bennett, and then got passed around between 5. Well, one of them was a good coach, but the other 4 were very mediocre coaches. But I take it would be a lot different with horse racing because you've got your style and all that, but you can pick up little tricks of the trade along the way. Was that what it was like?
Yeah. So like each trainer obviously trains differently. Nobody's like, footy coaches, they've all got their own way of doing things. So, and the way they want horses ridden as well. So I'm a patient rider. I hate going forward. I'll do it if I have to. And I've won a stack of races here and over the years leading races, but it's not my preferred style to ride. So going to someone like Gay and Gerald, they're very much, we want our horses on pace. We want you to bang these horses out, get in front, and make every post a winner. So for me, it's a style as a kid I hated. But by riding for people like that, I've been able to adapt, and it's, another notch in my belt sort of thing. Whereas like Matty Dunn, he always wanted his horses just ridden comfortable. So we were always in the second half of the field. It was very rare you'd be in the first 4 on one of Matt's. So like Ronnie Quinton, he's just where the horse is comfortable. Just give it a squeeze out, let it get on the bridle, and then just ride the horse from there. Whereas you get to like a Gerald and a Gay, and they don't care about that. It's just bang this horse out, make it go, put it in the race. Like you have to make the horse want to show interest sort of thing. So it was just, for me being the polar opposite of that, I just felt like that was probably an experience that I needed. And, 7-8 years down the track now, I've like to think that I'm a pretty versatile rider, and it doesn't matter where I am in the race, I can get the job done. Through
the development, through that many styles. Well, yeah, so how did you end up at the Gold Coast and winning? Because you won did we speak about that? You won the premiership at the Gold Coast.
Yep.
As an apprentice.
Yeah, yep. When I started out, just Toowoomba racing up there hasn't really been going anywhere in recent years. And at the time too, they were redoing the tracks, so it shut down. Whereas the Gold Coast is quite a central place. It's very close to all the South East Queensland tracks and the Northern New South Wales tracks. So we thought this was just a good central base to be at. So Mum and Dad packed up the state. Mum had about 40, 50 horses in work. And she packed them up, cut them in half, and I think we brought about 20 down here, just try and bring some nicer ones. But yeah, it was more so about the opportunities for me as an apprentice is why we made the move to the Gold Coast.
Does Mum and Dad still live on the Goldie?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so you've got the family here?
Yeah, family's still here. I speak to them nearly every day, especially after races. Dad, still to this day, if I don't ring him, he'll ring me after every ride and dissect it and see where I went wrong, where I went right. The last few years, he's sort of taken a bit of a step back. I think he even said he sort of trusts now, that I'm making the right decisions. It's not very often I'll make the wrong one, and if I do, don't worry, he lets me know.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like, well, this is why I did it, Dad. And he's like, yeah, no, that was wrong. This is what you should have done. So I've been very fortunate in that respect to have a good base behind me.
So he's a scholar of the game as well. He really loves his racing and the ins and outs and watching everyone and still very much involved.
Yeah. So before injury ended his career a bit short, he used to help out the apprentices and stuff in Toowoomba coming through. And obviously Mum, she's had a few apprentices go through the stable, and a few of them were they were a bit troubled, I suppose. They were on their last legs. If Mum didn't want to take them on, they weren't going anywhere. So Mum and Dad have always been very good like that, very willing to help. And Dad's got a very keen eye, and he's very good at picking up and reading a race and helping you.
Yeah, that's good. I understand. So you got the phone call. Gay, on the phone. Trav, guess what? We want you. What did you think? How did you take it? Were you ready to go? Did you go, yep, this is me, let's go, new opportunity? Or were you a bit hesitant to leave? Or how old were you when this phone call came through?
I was I was 18.
Yeah,
so I wasn't
right.
even 19 yet when it came through. There was no hesitation.
Yeah.
They rang me up on the Sunday, and the next Sunday I was in Sydney.
Yeah.
I pretty much packed the car straight away. Dad jumped in and we drove down.
What was Sydney like? Do you like it down there?
Nah, not really. No, I'm a Queenslander. It's just too full on. There's just so many people. It wasn't quite for me. I like a little bit more laid back lifestyle up here. It's taking some adjusting, getting used to. In Sydney, I road work 3 times a week, trials twice a week, races every day. So, sometimes you'd go 16 days in a row at races.
Yeah, right.
And coming back here, riding sort of, maybe 2-3 times maximum. It's taken some getting used to, but as a place, I think Sydney's a bit of a hole.
Yeah, mate, it's you got to be from there to love it, don't you? Or you got to be really involved or market it. I'm the same. Not for me. It's a good place to visit, and then get us out of there. So, how long do you spend with Gay?
With Gay for the 3 months.
Yep.
With the load period, and it was hard work. As I said, I was probably a bit too immature at the time too to really sort of appreciate, everything that was being done for me down there, and to really take in what she was trying to get across to me.
That's part of being young though, and 18 and 19 and knowing everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the horse racing industry is experience is massive, but most jockeys start very, very young. Like while they're light in the weights, 14s, 15s, down around that very immature sort of age, and you're thrust into, it could be any race. A race at Toowoomba is the big show.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you're riding in a race,
Yeah. Like in the NRL and that, you've got your Intrust Super Cups and
you build into it.
You build
Correct.
into it. Whereas in racing, it's just you're thrown in the deep end straight away. Your first meeting, even though you've got to go out bush, there's still people there betting on it.
That's right.
So the pressure's on from day one.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it. And then after that, I was very fortunate. Ronnie Quinton actually approached me and said that he'd take me on. He didn't want me to go home because I was ready to pack up. I hate it. I didn't like living in Sydney.
Yeah.
The riding was just so different to what I was used to. So I'm very, very grateful for everything that Mr. Quinton did for me. because if it wasn't for him, I would have been home years ago. And I think the experience that I've gained in my time in New South Wales, and some of the jockeys I've ridden against, the horses I've ridden, the trainers I've ridden for, I never would have got that opportunity if I had to come home. Just the horses up here, they're just second tier horses to New South Wales.
Yes.
That's why when they come up for the carnivals, they win everything. They send their second tier horses here, and they're beating our best.
Yeah, so, but mate, we do the same here. I've got buy into horses, and we go to Rocky.
Yep.
There is grades of horse, and of course, money talks.
Yes.
The breeding talks, and you got to know all about that. But so, what's the difference between jumping on like the feel between, say, your Class 1 winner here to something you go wow at Gay?
Okay.
Like, is it like an acceleration go? Like, because obviously we're not jockeys, mate. Well, I've never sat on the back of a horse in my life. How does it compare, the feeling?
Oh, okay. Like you can ride a horse at the Gold Coast here, and like say you win a maiden on it, it'd be like driving the old Volkswagen Beetle around. And then I've ridden some Group 1 horses, and it's like being in a Bugatti. Like you don't feel the turf underfoot. It feels like you're floating.
Really?
And I mean, like you get on some of them good horses with the gates open, the power that they launch out at just throws you back in the seat. But then once you're perched up on them, it's like floating on clouds. Whereas a slow, a horse with lesser ability, it's almost like you can feel every uneven patch of dirt in the track. You feel every hoof print, every bump, every blade of grass. Whereas the good ones just seem to skim across the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mate, I've got goosebumps just talking about that. That was sensational to describe. It felt like I was there. So yeah, you're saying like those ones that have the go button, they just flow across the ground, and then when you give them a go, where compared to riding here, you're like, oh, this thing doesn't want to go. Bang, we got to get it going.
Yeah.
So
the best feeling I've ever had on a horse is it's 4:30 in the morning at Randwick. It's one of the most beautiful track I've ever ridden on. And you'll be on a couple of Group 1 horses for like Team Snowden, and you get out there on that course proper, and there's a bit of fog, but just lingering around. You can sort of see the Sydney skyline in the back there, but a bit of fog hanging around. There's no noise, and when you get to the 600 and you start to quicken up, the rhythm that the horse is in underneath you, like you've got two horses side by side, just matching stride for stride, and then their breathing is in sync. You don't hear anything except the horse, and that's when you really feel at one with the animal.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible feeling, and it's just like everything else is a blur around you, and you're zoned in on that moment, and you feel as though you're one with the horse. And then when you're straightened up and you give the horse a bit of a squeeze, you don't even have to, and you'll be running up in 21, 22 with ease, and then you'll get on something that's going to Goldwyn for a Class 1, and you're running up like 24, like hard scrub, like come on, go faster sort of thing.
Mate, I was there. I was on the back of the horse just then. I tell you, wow. So you've done that, Ronnie Quinton down there. What was the decision to come back home? Would you just had enough, or?
Yeah, I'd been wanting to come home for a few years. Just some, circumstances. I hung around for longer than I sort of wanted to, but I suppose there's a bit of me too that, some of the best horses, trainers, jockeys in the world are in
You got to persevere sometimes.
So that was it. I just felt like, well, I've been here this long. What's, another 12 months going to hurt? It's not going to hurt just trying to get somewhere. And, I was fortunate enough to ride a lot of good horses, track work. And I rode a horse called Trapeze Artist. I won on him his first start, and he came out and won 4 Group 1s and was 3-year-old of the year. And, I got to trial Mongolian Khan. He won a Cox Plate. I rode some Caulfield Cup, sorry. I got to ride some really good horses, and I suppose I was always just hanging on to that hope that I might get the opportunity in a nice race. And to be fair, my last season down there was my best, and I got to ride in at Oaks at a Derby. I rode on Everest Day. I've been there when Winks had her final ever start, and that was just incredible. I remember walking out into the middle of the track there at Randwick. There was probably half a dozen of us that stood on the inside running rail, and you look back at the crowd, there's like 40,000 people there, and I remember looking down the straight, and you could see Winks come past, and Bowman's just quiet as a church mouse. She had the race won, and it's sort of like slow motion as she come past. It was almost like a movie. I could like hear music in my ears, and the crowd was sort of like black and white, and it all went still. And she just sort of cruises past like effortlessly. And then I think Tommy Berry was on the second horse, just hard pump, just doing everything he could to try and cut the margin down, but wasn't able to. And Winks crosses the line. Next minute, there's confetti and just stuff going off everywhere, all over the grandstand. Everyone's cheering, and it was just one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had on a race course, apart from being in those races myself.
Yeah, right. Wow. How good. And I guess that's what New South Wales racing does. That's what racing at the big show does. It brings it all out. And racing's made a huge comeback. I mean, it was only 10, 20 years ago that it was a mugs game. You know what I mean? And now everyone is at the track, and everyone can see it as a sport, and everyone can, stipulate between the gambling side and the professional sportsmen and the amazing animals that come with it and the people that come with it as well. So back to the Goldie. Head down, ass up. Was it? Was that the decision straight away? Were you going, that's it, I'm going for a premiership? Or like, what was the thinking pattern? Or did you just start getting back into work and then realise, holy, I'm in striking distance here?
Yeah, it was a bit like that. So when I made the move back, I had my appendix ruptured. So
how'd that happen?
I don't really know.
Just ruptured.
Just ruptured. I rode at Warwick Farm. I rode quite light on the Wednesday at Warwick Farm, and that night started having some pains, and I just thought it was from wasting. Obviously, wasting takes a toll on your body, and I've been in pain before through various things. I just assumed it was one of those, and the next morning, I was on the ground, nearing tears. Like the pain was just intense, and I went to the doctor, and they said, if it's still here tomorrow, come back. So I said, whatever, I must just be sulking. So I got home and walked through the door and nearly collapsed. And my partner at the time said, no, we've got to get you to the hospital. And went up there. About an hour later, they finally got me in because I was like screaming and getting into arguments with them because I was in that much pain and no one was doing anything. And so they took me in. Did some x-rays. 5 minutes later, they said, we're going to rush you in for operation. Your appendix is ruptured and it looks like it's about to burst. They took me in for that.
How's the people who are ignoring you?
Yeah.
What about that?
Just forgotten about there at the hospital, but, it's all good. I survived.
Yeah.
They got it out in time, thankfully. And, so COVID obviously was around at that time, and I'd been talking since the start of the year about coming back to Queensland, and then when that happened, the border was open at the time, and so I was told I wasn't allowed to drive a car for 4 weeks, and I had to have 8 weeks off racing. Well, 2 days later, they said the border's closing to Queensland.
Oh,
so
no.
The next day I was in the car, drove up here from Sydney all the way up here, and just thought, I'll heal up, take my time, and I can't sit still. I need to work. So 2 weeks later, the plan was to go and ride in Brisbane of a Saturday, but just with the appendix, obviously rushing it back, I didn't want to go to Brisbane and have a complication in front of everybody because they just put a line through me then. So I tried to make a low-key return at the Gold Coast. I took 4 rides and I ended up riding a couple of placings in a winner. And then pretty much from then on, Kelly Schweida was a big one who said he wanted to, like if I ride at the Gold Coast, he sort of put me on everything he could. And I said, whatever. It's good. I only live around the corner from the race course. I've got a spa at home. It's easy for me to get up on a Saturday morning, jump at the spa and just cruise around the corner to the track. So, just stayed here, and pretty much about 2 months into the season, I had a good mate of mine, Anthony Allen, digging me in the ribs about this premiership, something he's been trying to win for the last 6 years, and he kept telling me that I was going to win it, and I kept, mate, whatever happens, and even with probably 3 months to go, I was like, no, anything could happen. Jag was just starting to get a bit of a roll. I think I had about a 15-win lead, and Jag started to cut that margin back down to about 8 or 9.
Who else was in there? Who else was chasing you?
So early on it was Tegan Harrison.
Yep.
She was sort of the early front runner. Then I got her. Then Anthony was on my tail pretty much all season. And then he had some opportunities in town with that Good Horse Incentivise and that. So he sort of stepped away from the coast, and then Jag sort of made a comeback to the coast and he started chasing again. But I always sort of maintained that sort of double-digit figure margin all season. And I think we ended up winning by about 12, which was good. But yeah, I sort of probably the last 3 months of the season was when I was like, you know what, I think I want to win this now. I really need to knuckle down and try harder with the weight to ride that bit lighter and just commit here every weekend, because at the time I was sort of rotating between here every few weeks, but I'd go to Brisbane if I thought the horse could win. And so then I knuckled down late.
Isn't that a hard decision to make? Because Brisbane is our city, city metro winners and whatnot, and Gold Coast is, you know, second tier, but it is number 2. If you're looking at it from a Queensland stage, then Brisbane's NRL and Gold Coast is Queensland Cup, and then everything else comes around that.
Yep.
As a decision that you need to make, do you go, oh, look, this horse might win, but, you know, there's 50 opportunities for me here on the Gold Coast that I know that I can get home over the next week? How hard is that to weigh up in your head? Like, what's your main goal? Like, is it obviously that's a hard one to ask because you want to win. You want to win big races, and I know that. But at sometimes you've got to make like winning this premiership might set you up in 3 years to win on a big horse. But chasing in town, getting 6th, 8th, 4th, 3rd, 1st, 4th, 5th might not set you up to get that good horse there. So how do you go about going through it, or do you just let it unfold in front of you? What's your strategy?
I want to go where the winners are. So obviously here, generally I get the plump of the rides. So, you know, coming here for 7 or 8 rides and knowing that 5 of them are winning chances, that's more appealing to me than going to Brisbane for 1. If I think the horse in town can win and it's worth going for, so there was a main horse, Beaufort Park, that I was going for. I think I won 4 Metros in a row, and then we started favourite in a Magic Millions race. To me, that was worth it. I did go to town the last time I rode in town on a Saturday, and I didn't want to go. I thought the 2 horses were no good. One of them won a bad race the start before, and then the second one was just a ride. But at the time, I was riding for the stable. I was sort of their main rider, and they wanted me to go. But for me, that was pointless. I would have rather to stay here because I missed out on 2 winners at the Gold Coast that day. They may not have won if I was on them, but they still won. Yep. So for me, that's where I wanted to go, but I had, you know, pressure to go to town for them. But for me, it's where the winners are. I don't care if I got 8 rides here and I can ride 3 winners, or I've got 1 in town, I'm coming here every day of the week. You know?
So that's your decision. That's your thinking making. Yeah. But when you started out, like you said, you got the pick now because you're the man. You're the big dick up here. But mate, in the beginning, I was seeing you getting home $20 things. I was seeing you like you didn't have the pick of the thing there. So that's a hats off to you there as well. But do you sort of know the stock that's coming through? Do you know these, or do you have a manager that just says, look, these are your 8 rides, and then you do the form and have a look and whatnot at them, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like if you've ridden some track work for the trainers and that, you might have ridden the horse and sort of know what you've got underneath you. But most of the time it's sort of more faith in your manager to get you the best rides. And as you said, this season, like a lot of, I'm going to take, if you give me $1.60, I'm going to take the ride on it because obviously it's that price for a reason. But I love riding the horses that are sort of between that $4 to $10.
Yep.
Because those short price favourites, so many things can happen in a race and go wrong. There's a lot of pressure there. Whereas I feel like if you're on a $4 to $10 chance in the market, they're good enough to win the race with the right ride.
Yep.
And most of the time I go out there on a Saturday and I'm the best jockey. So I'm going to give this horse the best ride that I possibly can. And if it's good enough, it's going to win. And try to take some of that bad luck out of it. But so yeah, I like riding long shot winners. I get more of a thrill out of that than a short price favourite.
Yeah. Do you get, say you're on a $1.60 favourite, do you get attention from other jockeys like in the race, or would you do the same? Would you go, all right, I know that thing's going all right, I know that thing's $1.60, how can I get it beat, or how do I beat it? Or do you feel like the race then is focused on what you're doing, not focused on what you should be doing on your horse or something like that? Does that affect other jockeys, do you think, in the line?
Oh yeah, you get out in a race and there's a jockey who's trying to beat you. When I ride in a race, I'm riding my horse to give it the best possible chance to finish it as good as it can. So I don't really. But
will you be affected by going, all right, that's the favourite. Oh, he's taken off now. If I need to go as well. You just.
If he wants to go,
the Iceman. I like it.
You can watch. Like I remember winning a a 6-horse field here over 2,200 metres. The whole field took off at the 600, and my horse was about $10. They all took off. I just let them go. I ended up 3 lengths behind them. I straightened up 2 lengths behind them, and I won by 3 because they were all gassed.
Yeah.
So I go out there and ride my own race. Obviously, I'm aware what's around me. So, like, if there's a $1.60 pop in it, I'm not going out there to get it beat, but I'm going out there going, okay, what do I need to do to beat that horse in a way? You know, like if it's in front of me, it's like, okay, well, I want to stay here because that's the best horse in the race. If I follow it, he's going to get me into the race. If my horse is good enough, I'll pass it. If not, obviously, I wasn't good enough.
I've given it every chance, though.
It's sort of like, okay, like I'm 1 off the fence. The favourite's 3 wide. If I keep it there, that gives me a better chance to beat the horse. But I don't go out there with the intention to beat a horse.
Yeah.
But if it helps me, I will. But if it's going to cause more harm to my horse by, you know,
correct.
For example, if
you're not going to pull it up underneath you so you can sit in, so you can lock him in, and then go, oh, hold on, I don't have a turn of foot on this horse.
Yeah.
You need to, like you said, relax, get it into stride, keep going.
Yeah.
Wow, good insight, Trav. Good insight. So running away with the premiership, we were talking about it just before with your weight and whatnot. Like, what are you, 5'3", 5'4", we were saying on a good day?
Yeah.
But do you struggle? Do you struggle with your weight, or do you do it all right?
Yeah, no, I struggle a little bit. I go through patches all throughout my career. I've struggled obviously being a Boilermaker, turned jockey, like I was 61 kilos and then had to get my weight down. And at various times throughout my career, I've ridden like as light as 53.
What were you doing for that? Were you just wasting, or were you doing some training, or were you getting your food right, or
traded.
what?
So when I lived in Sydney, I did it. And I used to work with a good man, Connor, who was the Manly Sea Eagles head strength and conditioning coach. I used to see him plus a nutritionist. So, you know, it was like 2 eggs on 1 piece of toast for brekkie. Then I'd have, if I wasn't riding the next day, steak and veggies for lunch, and then chicken and salad for dinner. Or if I was riding the next day, it was fish, fish and veggies, chicken and salad.
So it was weighed out, it was calories, it was what's going on.
All that. And
how did Lazy Trav take that? There's competitive Trav, and then there's lazy Trav by the sounds of it. How did he go with all the training and whatnot?
Look, once I'm up and going,
Yeah.
I'm sweet. I'm that. The hardest step's the one out the door.
Yeah.
Once you get me out, I'm sweet. And I used to really enjoy going and training. I've always loved training. When I can, it's just trying to find that balance. Obviously, with my weight, depending on what I do, I get thickened through the shoulders and the arms, and that's something I've always had to be cautious of. So there's a fine line there, and that's one that I've struggled with the last sort of 6 months is, trying to juggle the training side and the nutrition side with the weight, and it's a battle I'm losing at the minute.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we'll mix things up a bit. As I said, I don't like sticking to the same thing all the time, and I think I got in a routine of the same thing, and my body switched onto it.
Yes.
And just thought, nah, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of
Well, that's exactly what it does. It picks up, and you think you can do that with any sort of diet. Like I eat an animal based, as you know, very low carbohydrate, maybe some salads and some greens, zucchinis and whatnot. If I go and throw something else in there, like a bit of bread or a donut or something like that, I'm gone. I'm on my haunches because your body adapts. Same thing with you. If you change your diet too much and you've got a little bit too much protein in there, you're doing all this training, your body's going, great, I've got this protein to feed me muscles. I might grow a little bit. For you, that's detrimental because it's a catch-22. You got more muscle, you burn more calories, you can get skinnier quicker. You got more muscle weighs more, you're over the scales, you got to waste more. It's a funny game, this whole being a jockey, isn't it? And I don't like it whatsoever with how much you boys waste. Lukey D, he is a special for it because he's such a big jockey, isn't he?
Yeah.
What about yourself? Do you have to get in the spa every week? Do you waste every week? How's your hydration? Where does that lead you to?
Yeah, I waste every week. So last week I rode, I did 55 on Saturday. Which is the lightest I've ridden in about 4 months. So I went out for a 15K bike ride on the Friday afternoon, and then got straight home, jumped in the spa for 2 hours to try. So there was 2 kilos there, through 3 hours of work to get the 2 kilos off. And then the next morning I spent another 3 hours in the spa to lose another 2 kilos to get down to it. So, yeah.
Wow. Do you do breath work in your spa? Have you tried that?
No.
I'll give you something. So, mate, 80% of our calories are breathed out and everything. So a lot of your weight can be breathed out. So if you're doing that time in the spa, a lot of is really a good way to get it out. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. A lot of data, I should say, not a lot of work. Yep. Well, there is a lot of work because you've got to concentrate and breathe and that. I've got a good book, Breath. Yep. I'll give it to you after this. But yeah, man, you got to work something out there, eh? Yeah. You got to get into a routine, or you've got to get into a structure where you don't have to do that every week, where you're chipping away. I mean, you're probably going to find it hard now with your nose up because you can't go train, can you?
No. So I got 2 weeks off. So yeah, can't do anything. Just got to be careful. It's not quite long enough where I can go out and enjoy myself for a week, you know.
It's not a holiday.
It's not, no, because in 2 weeks' time, I think the 28th is going to be my first meeting back. You know, like I'm 60 kilos today, and that I'll probably have to try and ride 56 that day. So if I blow out any more, you know, like I can get to 62 like that in a couple of days. It's no problem at all. But, you know.
It goes on a lot quicker than it comes off, doesn't it?
Oh, very.
For everyone, and that's everyone out there. Look, we'll after this, we'll go over, we'll break down some things and have a look at some things. I'm sure you know a lot, but maybe I can throw some things your way to keep you going for the next 2 weeks. All right, the future. Let's get into the future. What are we doing? Are we going again? Are we back-to-back premierships?
I haven't quite worked that one out. It's it'd be good to go back-to-back. Something I'd like to do, but hopefully with my management team and that, we'll probably work out a strategy of how we want to approach this season. I like the idea of going back-to-back, and especially now that Noel Callow's here. You know, he's a good, high-quality rider. So to compete against him is great, and, you know, I love beating those sort of blokes. You know, if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So, you know, I thrive on the competition, so that'd be great if I could win back-to-back and beat him.
What does Noel Callow bring? Experience?
Experience.
He does, and you can see that in his riding.
Yes. I mean, you watch races here of a Saturday. He said this in an interview on Punters, that there's only 3 or 4 blokes at the Gold Coast on a Saturday that you'd want to put on, and he's one of them. And you watch races here and replays, and you can pick those riders out. You know, but he's been riding for a long time. He's ridden multiple Group 1 winners. He's ridden superstar horses. He's been all around the world. Yeah. He brings a level of competition to the Gold Coast that we haven't seen here in a very long time.
Is he hungry? Do you think? Is he here for a holiday, or is he picking up rides and knows that he can beat? He's only got you and a few others to compete with, or do you think he's going? No, this is. What do you reckon? Have you had much to do with him, or?
Well, we actually sit right across from each other in the jockeys' room, so it's quite good. But look, he's a bit like that. He's sort of taken it as it comes, but like we're jockeys, we're all competitive. It doesn't matter how much he wants to play it down. When he gets out on the track, he's there to win. Yeah. You know, if you're in a race behind him or with him, and he's on a chance, he's doing everything he can to win on that horse. So, I don't care what he says about you know, just happy to take what comes his way when we get on the track. It's serious business.
Yeah. He's playing it down. He's playing mind games already.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that's going to be this, mate, once you get back out there. And, look, I guess you're going to have to take this season the way that you ride horses, mate. You're going to have to relax into this first stretch, build your fitness back, get your nose breathing, get into some winners, and then come home strong. Because once again, big season. Do you break it up? Do you go, all right, I'm going to here and I need a week off, I'm going on holiday? Or I suppose with COVID, I think I spoke about this with Lukey as well, it's just head down, ass up at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, so I every year I'd go away sort of between October and December. I'd always take a couple of weeks off for a month and go to America, or, you know, just get away. And usually by that time of the year too, like now my weight goes up, so that break used to do me good. I'd blow out for 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks it had calmed down, and mentally it was the best thing for me.
Yes.
But because of COVID, I haven't been away in like 3 years now, so I'm dying for a break. But, you know, racing doesn't stop, so I can't stop. It's just head down, ass up, just keep going, pushing through it, and, you know, hopefully times will change and I can get away. You know, even if it's I wanted to go to New Zealand, to Queenstown, to the snow, but that's sort of ruled out. And it's a bugger, but usually every year I'd take probably a month off just to mentally recharge the batteries and, you know, zone back in. You know, you can tend to check out of racing when you're doing the same thing all the time you get in a comfort zone. I just find mentally I can check out.
Yeah.
And, I'm still doing my best, but I'm just not quite here. So that break really makes me hungry again and ignites the fire in my belly and gets me right into it. So I've had to find new ways the last couple of years to ignite that flame in me. And, that's sort of been the premierships on the Gold Coast. And, I think the riding ranks here in the last sort of 10 years, not what they used to be. Like you look back when like Scotty Galloway and Ken Russell, the real, I think, kings of the coast. Those blokes, Ken Russell rode when we had capacity fields. There was no racing on. There was once a week. To do what he did was incredible. And Scotty Galloway, I think, won 4 of them. He would have won more too, but he went to Brisbane, chasing, better horses and the quality in that. So I think the riding ranks here the last few years just haven't quite been where I'd like them to be. But I think now,
because you young boy, it's like a changing of the guard. Scotty and that are winding down, all the old boys, those guys, Griffin, he's all retired. You new boys are coming up and you're all in this age bracket. I mean, Lukey's only just 30, Jag's 22 or something, you're 26. So you're there, yes, but you also are there. You're searching for these big opportunities still, and the thing you're still, out there. So, I mean, all the boys, the Goldie boys, I mean, you've got a good crew. And Chrissy Caserta, he's up here now, is he?
Yeah, Chrissy's up here now.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy Mallion, he's hanging about a bit, but in Brizzy and stuff, I think over the next years, we'll see you group of boys condense into the group that you are, and mate, it's going to be some good battles.
Yeah,
I tell you, within Gold Coast and within Brisbane. Well, that's what I hope to see.
I think so, and
because it's going to bring the best out of all of you.
Yep,
it's going to challenge both of you, like you said.
And they say, like with racing, as jockeys, they reckon you hit your prime in your early 30s. So like I've still got a few years. That's why I'm trying to get all these experiences I can. I'd love to try and get some overseas experience as well before that time. So when I'm, as old, bloody COVID, but when I'm as old as Lukey is and I'm in my prime, I'll have a few more experiences up my belt, and I'll, like looking at what I've done now, I can't wait to see what the future brings.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, like you said, what are you, 26?
Yeah.
26, man. Yeah. 4 more years, you could be anything or anywhere. Like, and you're only 30. You're only scratching the surface still. That's what people don't understand. Like, you could start something now. You could give up right now, go speedway racing, and in 4 years, you'd be very good at it. In 8 to 10, you'd be an expert at it.
Yeah.
You've got through your first 6 years, 8 years now. You're coming into your expert years. You're coming into this flying. So, mate, I can't wait to keep watching you over the next week. This season and the next ones to come. Lastly, what else do you do? What do you do around the Goldie? What are you a fan of? Are you a footy fan? NRL? What?
I love all sports. So,
yep.
I don't mind going out for a cycle, get the mountain bike out.
Yeah.
I cruise into surfers and then up to the spit and stuff every few days with the old man, or take it out to Nerang to the trails. I quite enjoy doing that. Or
what are they like? I've never been out there, those trails.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So I've done a few of them out there. It was a bit sketchy the other day. I forgot my helmet, but I didn't want to turn around and ride home to get it, so I just kept pumping through. So it's good fun. I quite enjoy that. And I used to play a little bit of golf. I've quietened down on that a bit at the minute, but I'm a bit of a foodie, to be honest. That's the problem with me weight.
Watching too many of my videos, mate.
I see your videos and I can't help myself. I got to pull this
Actually, I got to get, wait. Stop, hold up, back it up. Tell them about the smoker story.
Which one?
Your one. Going to the races. He's watched me smoking videos like, this is me. I'm getting a smoker on. I'm going on. You've put it on. You live in a unit across the road from Bundall.
Yep.
And you've let your smoker ride all day.
Yeah. So, well, obviously I met you through the footy tipping comp.
Yeah.
I got to know you a bit and saw all your smoking videos, and I thought, like, this is the grouse. I need to get myself one of these. So went and brought the Traeger, and I was going up to the Sunshine Coast races that day, and the brisket needed like 8 hours to cook. So before I left, I pulled it out, heated it up, put the brisket in there, and away I went to the races, thinking when I come home there's going to be this beautiful brisket there waiting for me. And I remember getting in the elevator downstairs under the building, and like, geez, I can smell something here. Like, it's just a little bit of smoke in the air, and I was like, geez, something's going on here. And it goes up to my level, and when the door opens, it's just smoke. The whole apartment building, the whole block was just smoked out and just smelt like meat. And I just thought, oh shit, I think this is me. And I've walked down to my apartment, I've opened it up, and just smoke's just come rushing out the door. My whole apartment just smelt like brisket for the next 2 months. I walk out the back and it's just, everywhere, mate. The neighbours, everyone, all their clothes that were hanging out drying and everything smelt like brisket. But yeah, it tasted amazing. But after that, the smoke had to go and moved it around to the parents' place. But
There's a new rule at his apartment complex: no smokers.
Yeah, they brought the rule in and said no barbecues on balconies anymore after that day. So.
What about your neighbours? They could, because you're at the sunny coast and you're gone. They just got to deal with it for 8 hours.
Yep.
Oh man.
The people above me, they usually work out on the balcony. They couldn't work out because it was just smoke everywhere and. Yeah, I wasn't home. I just left it going, so everyone had to wait till I'd got home. And about 2 days later, I got a little notice in the.
Yeah, don't do that again, mate. That's the third time I've heard that story, and it's still bloody hilarious. I tell you, I can't. Oh man, I just picture myself being there, either on the receiving end or being you walking in, going, "Oh nah, what have I done?" So. How good. Well, mate, thank you once again for coming on podcast. Like I said, I can't wait to watch you in this season and keep growing and following your career. It's very, very, very inspirational. If you want to follow the Wolf on Insta, what do you got?
Yeah, it's just Travis.Wolfgram.
Nice and easy. And keep an eye out for all these races as well. I mean, you've got a mark on your back now. You got the premiership. They're coming after you. You're at the top. So it'll be good to see you. When are you back riding?
28th, hopefully.
28th, your first one? Yep. All right. We'll keep an eye on that and we'll keep moving forward in there. So there it is, people, wrapping it up. Any given chance. Woo! Cheers,
Thanks,
Buzz.
mate. All good, man.